Welcome to Nox Spellenzolder, and this time I want to take a look at Gamboni, published by Gamboni Games. It's a game for 3 to 5 players and it takes about 45 to 60 minutes to play. And in this game you're gonna become a mob boss and you want to rule New York. The objective of the game, of course, is to win by becoming the most important person on this ladder with the most respect at the end of the game. Alternatively, you can control 30 zones within New York to win the game, and everybody gets a secret mission at the start of the game. If you accomplish that, you can also win the game. During the game you'll be setting up different shops, pizza places, some prostitutes will be working for you, and you might sell some drugs left to right. You could snitch to the FBI in order to force your opponents into corners and gain a lot of money on the way, and you'll be firing away at each other in order to obtain power. The game you see before you is a prototype. The final version may vary from what I'm going to show you, but let's have a look at what we're going to get. The game is made by Ewout Kieremeyer, and we get the rules. They're in English, easy to read through, how you can win the game, and there are quite some tips and tactics in the back, and some background information about the different families you can play with, and a nice reference site on the back of the rulebook. Further we'll get, I don't think we're going to get this metal casing with the eventual game, but we're going to get the character sheets for each player with the steps within the turn explained again, and some cheats. Every player will get a certain amount of chips in their collar. They will get a mini figurine of their boss. We will get different kind of cards, the pizza shops, the strip clubs, the drug labs. We'll get the FBI cards, the commission cards, and the secret objective cards. And more importantly, maybe we'll get the weapon cards with which we're gonna attack each other, and they depict various types of weapons and their different powers. We're gonna get custom money in 3 different values with nice mugshots on them. Some bounty chips. During the game there can be ways to get bounties on your head, and every bounty chip is worth 50,000. And of course we'll get the main board, and on the main board we see New York, in which we are going to move, space for the different cards and the gang money, the ladder on which we will climb to rise to triumph to become the king of New York, a third track, jail, and here we can place the attack cards. So actually almost everything is on the main board, and this is a prototype board, so it's not yet foldable, but it will be. So that's what we're gonna get. Let's start by setting up a game. And this is how the game looks when you set it up for 4 players. Every player chooses a character and receives the character card, the colored chips, and a couple of character chips. One of them you'll place on the ladder above the green line at its starting position to determine your position within the ranks of the other capos. And you'll also receive 1 capo figurine, which you will place on one of the safe houses. Every capo has a special ability depicted on the sheet. Montano starts the game with 3 miniguns, and after you've got the special cards you'll shuffle the weapon deck, and every player draws an additional 2 weapon cards. You'll start the game with $5,000, and you'll get your special mission card, which depicts the capo you need to take out in order to immediately win the game. After that, every player draws another weapon card. The person with the highest number on it will be the first player to choose one of the available safe houses and place his or her capo there, and then clockwise every other player will choose one of the other available safe houses as a starting position. You shuffle the FBI, commission and weapon cards, and you place them on their respective piles. We'll start with $10,000 in the gang money pot, and the remainder of the money will be set aside as a bank. the bounty chips will be placed within reach, and the different businesses you can set up will also be placed within reach. The game advises how many rounds it should take depending on the amount of players or what kind of game you want to play. In a normal 4-player game, it's advised to play 8 rounds, so we put the round marker on number 8. And after you've done that, you're ready to start play. The game is played over several rounds depending on the amount of players and the type of game you're playing. And beginning with the starting player, each player will go through 3 phases. Easiest way to remember them: you wake up during the money phase, you collect your money, then it's about time to extend your power, and you end the day during the respect phase, where you collect your respect and buy stuff for the next day. The first phase is the money phase. In this phase you'll collect money from the various businesses you might own, which is described underneath each business, and the more you get from one type, the more money they'll make for you. For instance, if you have one pizza place, it will yield you $2,000. If you have 2 of them, you get 5,000, etc. And secondly, you get money depending on your rank on the ladder here. If, for instance, you're a boss, and then all the players who hold a lower rank than you do have to pay you $10,000. If you are a underboss, all the players with a lower rank will have to pay you $5,000, and if you have the rank Capo Regime, all the players below you have to pay you $2,000. So, and that means below the rank, the yellow bars. So these are also Capo Regimes. They don't have to pay you, but this player has to pay. If you cannot pay the amount you need to pay to another boss, you pay whatever you can, and very important, you have to say, "Sorry boss," because you cannot pay the full amount of money that this mobster deserves due to his position within the organization. That's the first part, and after the money has been paid out to all the players, you can choose to either take one commission card or an FBI card. There are 3 types of commission cards: bonus cards, task cards, and unfortunate event cards. So it's a bit of a chance taking one of the commission cards, but it's a lot of fun because there's a lot of flavor in them. If you choose a commission card, you'll just take the top card, you read what's on it, in this case found in an alley somewhere. Take one weapon card free of charge, and you put this one on the bottom of the commission deck. Alternatively, you could go for a FBI card, which makes you effectively a snitch. If you take an FBI card, you immediately receive from the bank $25,000. So you're saying to me, why wouldn't I do that every turn? Well, first of all, being a snitch is not something the mobsters like. So if you take an FBI card, there's immediately a bounty of $100,000 placed upon your head. But you do get to keep one of those nice FBI cards, which give you certain bonuses you can use during the game. I have an ATF raid, which can take away all the weapons of one of the other players. You can send them to jail, and there are some nice benefits to taking an FBI card. But do keep in mind, you'll get a bounty on your head. So those are the FBI cards. That's what you're going to do during the first phase. You collect money and you choose one of the 2 types of cards to take. Then we're going to go to the second phase, the power phase, in which you start moving, and during your movement you can battle with gangs, with capos, and with other players. Oh, I've misplaced these. And you can claim control of the certain areas. Movement itself is fairly simple. Every capo can move 5 spaces normally, except if you have a capo who tells you otherwise. You see those little connecting bars to indicate which positions are connected to each other. So for instance, if I want to move, I could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and every space I move through I claim if it's not already claimed by someone else. I just put my mark on it. So for now I have the entire New Jersey area. If you control a complete area, your respect will rise 1 to 3 spaces immediately. If you encounter spaces from another player, you can try and take them over by force. You choose one of the weapon cards from your hand to play. The number indicates the value of the weapon, and the yellow bar indicates whether the weapon has a special ability or not. I'm going to place my card here. As an attacker, you place your card closed. Then the defending player, in my example that is the green player, may choose whether he wants to defend this space by placing another weapon card there or not. If he doesn't, I immediately win the space, remove his marker and place my own marker. If he does play a card, he'll play his card open. And I'm gonna open my card. We're gonna compare the values, 10 for me versus the 2 of the green player, which means I win this area, and again I remove his marker and place my own marker. Every time you battle, you gain 1 respect on the ladder. The cards used, they are discarded into the discard pile. If there's a draw, the attacker automatically wins. I could also attack another capo if I end up in the same space as another capo. Again, I'm going to play one of the cards from my hand closed. The capo defends by playing one of his cards face up. I'm going to flip mine. We're going to compare 11 to 6. This capo loses. He loses 2 respect, so he goes 2 steps down on the ladder, and he has to return to his safe house or one of his controlled areas, and again I get the control over that specific area. Losing respect is dangerous. As you can see here at the bottom of the ladder, there's sleeps with the fishes, which means you're going to get some concrete shoes and you're going to be dumped in the river. If your capo will end up here, sleeps with the fishes, he's immediately killed, which might be favorable for your special secret objective. So do keep in mind that you don't want to go that low. Every attack, whether you win or lose, always gives you 1 step up on the ladder. Alternatively, if I attack another capo and as an attacker I lose, I go to jail. And of course I won't get the area itself. Again, it is an attack. Despite the fact that it failed, I still get my +1 ranking, because, well, they do respect me for attacking another capo. If you're in jail, the next turn after your money phase, you may make bail. And depending on your rank, you have to pay a certain amount of money in order to get out of jail and move to one of the available limousine spots on the map. In my example, I'm a capo regime, which means my bail will cost me $25,000, which I will pay to the bank. Alternatively, I could use one of the consiglieres who will talk me out of jail, preventing me from having to pay a lot of money. And there are 2 alternative ways of traveling. You see certain limousine spots on the map. If you move towards the limousine spot, you get your 5 movements. So for instance 1, 2, 3, 4. I then can move my capo to any other limousine spot on the board and continue movement from there. 5. And again I claim any empty space. And the final way of transportation is by an armored car, which are depicted on different cards. If you play an armored car, you forfeit your normal 5 movement points, or whatever amount of movement points you have, but instead you may move to any spot on the board instantly by playing one armored car, one getaway car. Coming back to fighting another capo, if you attack another capo and you manage to defeat him, if there's a bounty on his or her head, you'll get to collect that bounty, and you get bounties on your head either by drawing FBI cards or by setting up drug labs, which will also grant you 1 bounty chip on your head, $50,000. But if I manage to defeat, if I attack this capo and he has, for instance, the 100,000 bounty on his head, I defeat him, he goes back, blah blah blah, loses 2 respect, and I get to collect the bounty chips on his head, which will be removed then, but it gives me $100,000. If I collect those dollars, I can choose to either get them in money, or I can opt to up my rank. For every 50,000 I do not collect, I get to opt my rank 1. So if I don't collect the 100,000, I could go up 2 spaces on the ladder. But I can also choose to give myself 50,000 cash and 1 spot up the rank. Alternatively, if you don't like to go to jail, you could use the gangs on the board to attack other capos. If you go to a gang space, you can purchase a gang member to attack another capo anywhere on the board, not being in one of the safe houses. The gang will attack using the cards from the regular weapons deck, and for every card you want to draw, you have to pay 5,000 with a maximum of 15,000. So you can at the most draw 3 cards. But the attack is the same. So for instance, I want to do that. I'm going to pay the gang 15,000, put it in the gang money pot, draw the top 3 cards, and from these 3 cards I'm going to choose 1 weapon. Oh, that's a bad choice. Well, I'm going to put this revolver here without telling him. The other capo has to defend, so he's going to place one of his cards face up. He has a bulletproof vest, which stops a variety of weapons. Should have stuck to the machete. We're gonna see what's gonna happen. I've got a 4. He's got a bulletproof vest, which stops my ordinary revolver. If I would have taken this machete, it says it ignores bulletproof vests. He wins, and normally if the attacker loses, he has to go to jail. But because I've paid the gang to do the shooting for me, they'll go to jail, so nothing actually happens. If I win, the same thing happens. The capo who lost is going to lose 2 points of respect on the ladder. He has to go to one of his safe houses or one of the areas he controls. If the losing capo can't go to one of his safe houses and he has no areas he controls, he's immediately out of the game and loses. And finally, I can attack businesses of other players. Other players might set up shop somewhere. You should see that in the middle of New York, the Manhattan part, there are dollar signs in the circles. Those are the areas where you can set up your shops. I can, for instance, set up a pizza place here, and this works like a regular attack. I'm just going to go there. I'm going to play one of my weapon cards face down. In this example, the green player may place one of his or her weapon cards face up, and the one with the highest number will win control of this pizza place. And if you get control, the other player will have to give you his pizza card, and it will start producing money for you during your next money phase. Alternatively, you can provide your pizza place with its own weapons. You can put 1 weapon card under each of your businesses. That means when this business is attacked, this card is going to be used to defend it with. This has several advantages. Normally an ATF raid will take away all the weapons of a player, but not the weapons he has hidden underneath his businesses. And all these actions can be done while you're moving along, spending your movement points. By the way, if you attack a location of another player, and that player chooses to not defend, you get your weapon card back. It's not discarded. And you can also try to attack other gangs. You have to go to the gang field, attack it. They use the top card of the weapons deck. You place one of your cards, and if you win, you can just grab all the money in the gang money pot, which is always nice. So after doing all those actions, the power phase is over. We're going to the third and final phase, and that's the respect phase. During the respect phase you may buy up to 3 cards. Those can be either businesses or weapon cards. Business cards you buy from the bank. You can only buy those available, and you have to place one of those markers either on the Manhattan part of the game board or on safe houses owned by you. If you place one of those businesses there, you just claim the card, and the next money phase it will produce money for you. The prices are depicted on the cards. A pizza place will cost you 3,000, strip club will 6,000, and the drugs lab will cost you 9,000, and it will grant you 1 bounty on your head. That's only when you purchase it. If you steal it from another player, you will not get that bounty again. And you can buy weapon cards. Every weapon card will cost you $2,000, but you have to pay that money to one of the other capos, because they're the arms dealers in the city. So you can negotiate whom you're going to pay for this. Keep in mind that your hand size limit is 5 cards. If ever you have more than 5 cards, you may place them under your businesses if you have any of them available. Or if you don't have, you have to discard immediately. And if this deck runs out, you just reshuffle the discard pile. But buying weapons, the money you will pay for every weapon card has to go to one of the other players, or to several other players. And one most important rule: during the game you can always bribe other players. You may always say, "Oh, you're coming awfully close, and I see you eyeballing my pizza place. How about I just give you, well, let's say $10,000 for you to just move along and do not attack me." Or you could give them weapon cards. That's something you may always do during the game, even if it's not your turn. You can always bribe each other. But we are mobsters, we don't have to keep our promises. But that's how we play the game until the game is over, and then we'll see whose capo is highest on this ladder, and that will be the winner. Before that happens, a capo can succeed in his secret mission, exterminating one of the other capos, or he could get all 30 of his chips on the board, controlling more than 50% of New York, and that automatically means that the player has also won the game. But that's how Gamboni is played. There are a lot of things about Gamboni I like. First of all, I like the design. What they did is they made one board on which you can see almost everything of all the players. You have New York, where all the players move their capos and they all attack each other. You have the ladder on which you try to obtain the highest rank. We have the 3 draw piles, the discard pile, the gang money stash, and we have the 2 battle cards. And all those things are depicted on the same board, and they make it easy for everybody to see what's going on. It's not confusing. It's actually very nice that everybody can see what's happening within the blink of an eye. Aided by the player aids, which give you a small reference for the 3 phases of each turn, and some the rules about gaining and losing respect, and buying gangs and or businesses. You have all the rules you need to play within reach, which means explaining this game is fairly simple, and you can fully concentrate on playing the game, and I think that's one of the strong suits of Gamboni. Another aspect I like a lot is the ease with which it plays. You start your turn by collecting some money, and then you can pick one of those cards. You start moving, and while you move, several things might happen depending on where you're going to move, and then we're going to go to the respect phase, and then the next player moves on, and so the turns go pretty quickly. And due to the fact that the board is not that big, the players will be interacting a lot with each other, either using the FBI cards, hunting after the bounties, or just attacking because it gives them +1 on their rank, whether they win or lose. Is a great way to keep all the players involved and keeping an eye out on what's happening. And because we all play open, you can see what everybody is doing, and there are various strategies to win this game, because we have 3 different victory conditions. We can either play out the entire game and see who's highest up on the ladder, or alternatively you can take out one of your you can take out the capo on your secret objective, or you could gain control of 55% of New York, which also grants you a victory, and that's one of those sneaky victories which could happen if you don't pay close attention to what everybody is doing. And I do like the look and feel of this game a lot. Do keep in mind this is a prototype. These are just regular playing cards with the effects glued to them. But they will look very nice because the artwork is already on the main board, and you can have a look at it on the Kickstarter page as well. But it just it gives you this feel of a power struggle amongst the mobsters. And the theme is done very well. One other thing I really like are these commission cards. They're like chance cards. Anything can happen. Most of it is quite nice, but you can sometimes have some bad luck. But I really like the flavor and the humor that's in those cards. I tend to get those cards more frequently than snitching to the FBI, although those are also very powerful cards. All in all, Gamboni is a very nice game to play. It's rather easy to explain to other players. It plays quite fluently, but it has enough for the more experienced players to challenge them and come up with different strategies to win. Every capo has its own speciality depending on the cards you get at the beginning of the game, and if you play the advanced version they also have a special ability you can use. So they all play a bit differently, and different strategies make for an interesting game, which I've given a thumbs up and 3 shiny stars.
Nox Spellenzolder.